I should keep it for a special occasion like that date, right? Doc, how are you? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May I ask that you take your seats at this time? We're about to begin in about maybe a minute or two as we await the arrival of the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Yomo. Good morning once again, everyone. May I ask you to stand for the arrival of Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Thank you so much. May I ask that you remain standing as we start with the National Anthem of Jamaica, followed by Per by Mr. Unique Watson, the the Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. The National Anthem of Jamaica. As you remain standing as Mr. Watson opens with prayer.
Good morning. Let us bow for prayer. Lord, today is another milestone, a big win for our country. We are gracious to you in this moment. You have brought us to where we should be, and you continue to give us more, to push us along so we can achieve greatness. Lord, as we go together on this journey, in this partnership, we're asking for your guidance. We're asking for you to put all hands on deck so that we may deliver to Jamaica and the people of Montego Bay what is truly ours. Lord, continue to bless and protect us. Continue to put your hands on us so that we may continue to deliver. Lord, continue to give our leaders the vision so that they may continue to help us to grow this country and to ensure that the citizens of Jamaica benefit greatly. For all other mercies in your grace, we thank you. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
You may be seated. Thank you so much, Mr. Watson, for the words of prayer. It is absolutely beautiful to see all the faces in front of us this morning, signaling that really we have emerged from what has been a truly rough few years in terms of dealing with the pandemic. Now it's back to business, really, in Jamaica. May I start off with our salutations, and as the Prime Minister noted in previous engagements that, you know, once we set the tone for the salutations, then the protocols would be noted. And so the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica and the Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation. The Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, and also Member of Parliament for Northwest St. James. The Honorable C. Everald Warmington, the Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Other distinguished cabinet members, senators, elected officials who have joined us virtually, and also members of Parliament from the St. James Parish in particular. Good morning to you. We are also expecting to have with us Mrs. Marlene Malahoo Fort, the Attorney General and Member of Parliament for West Central St. James. His Excellency, Mr. Tian Ji, the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China. Mrs. Audrey Sewell, the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Mayors and councillors of municipal divisions of Hanover and St. James joining us virtually. Mr. Yung Pen Liu, the General Manager of Czech Americas Division, and Mr. Dan Granby, the Country Manager for Czech Jamaica, and other Czech team members who are present with us today. Team members of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and other representatives of public sector ministries and agencies. All other partners and stakeholders associated with the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you. I like to hear it back bigger and better, especially when we are all together. Good morning to you. Thank you so much. Well, listen, if you live in or traverse areas in and around the Montego Bay area or in Western Jamaica, this function this morning will put a smile on your face. If you've ever been caught in traffic in Montego Bay, I'll say this morning, help is on the way. And if you've ever experienced flooding in Montego Bay in particular, help is on the way. I would want to say there is indeed hope for the people of Montego Bay, for St. James and Western Jamaica. This function here this morning, the signing ceremony for the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project, a project that has taken approximately 20 years to come to light, will be a reality as of today. And so let's start off with the overview of this project and the welcome, which will be delivered by our Permanent Secretary here at the Office of the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Mrs. Audrey Sewell.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, Naomi Francis. And the protocols have been observed, but please permit me to mention by name 3 members of Parliament who are here with us this morning. And I start with Mr. Heroy Clark from Central St. James. Yes, Ms. Tamika Davis from Western Hanover, welcome. And Mr. Dave Brown from Eastern Hanover. We also have with us Mr. Andre Nelson, Chairman of NROC, the implementing agency for this project, and Mr. Stephen Edwards, the Managing Director for NROC. And you heard already from our Chief Technical Director, Mr. Yannick Watson, from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. So I won't go through the long list because Naomi has already done that. But I start by acknowledging our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. And I say, today signals a new day for the residents of Montego Bay and visitors, local and international, to the second city. The construction of a bypass for the busy, and I know Dr. Chang doesn't like the bypass name, but for our purpose of convenience, for the busy Montego Bay thoroughfare has been contemplated for several years, given the growth and the development of the tourism industry in St. James and neighboring parishes. As Jamaica moves towards securing greater economic growth and development, it is imperative that significant investments are made in enhancing our physical infrastructure. Indian economist Dr. Roho said that, I quote, "The link between infrastructure and economic development is not a once-for-all affair. It is a continuous process, and progress in development has to be preceded, accompanied, and followed by progress in infrastructure if we are to fulfill our declared objectives of generating a self-accelerating process of economic development," end of quote. It is certainly clear that there is a nexus between economic and infrastructure development. Growing economies like ours need reliable infrastructure to connect supply chains to move goods and services and people, for example, the tourism and BPO sectors in Montego Bay. The process began a few years ago, when I say the process now, in earnest, in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation with Dr. Chang. At that time, he was in the ministry, and he kept talking to me about the perimeter fence. And those of you who would have worked with Dr. Chang know that he will just say things over and over and grumbling and over again. And I just never got it until things started to click, as they would say, and we started to put pencil and pen to paper to get things going. But because there were changes to the government strategy to fund the project. So yes, we developed the project proposal through NROC, and we sent off through Ministry of Finance and the Public Service the proposal to China, and all went ahead very smoothly to the approval stage. But alas, the government of Jamaica changed its funding strategy. And so we had to abort the initial process and restart with a new framework. And I know, again, Dr. Chang was very impatient. "No, man, go ahead. And we had to pull him back. We said, "No, man, we have to start it all over." So it was a new process, and new to some of us, because some of the players involved, my people in the Works Policy branch, headed by Mrs. Janet Howlett, Senior Director, really had to take it on, and it was a learning process for us, and we got going. And so, through the guidance and support of the Attorney General's Chambers and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, the Montego Bay Perimeter Road, that's Dr. Chang's name for it, was declared a national development project by way of cabinet decisions dated March 17 and 22, 2021. This was also approved by both houses of Parliament as required by the Public Procurement Law. The project will be implemented by the National Road Operating and Construction Company, NROC, on behalf of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. We are once again anticipating the partnership with China Harbor Engineering, Czech, who will undertake the construction of the project. We also look forward with great anticipation to the jobs that will be created for locals and the certification of workers, which is to be undertaken collaboratively with HART NSTA as stipulated by the order that was approved by Parliament. And we will be monitoring to ensure compliance. The project covers, 1, the construction of Montego Bay Bypass Road, rehabilitation of Barnett Street, West Green Avenue, construction of Long Hill Bypass, and a drainage study of the Montego Bay Bypass area. This project is expected to open new areas to the south of Montego Bay for further development and expansion, in particular giving access to lands for housing development, which is a critical area for the government of Jamaica. In closing, let me again extend welcome to all here, physically and virtually, and I implore the implementation and construction teams to remain vigilant as you carry out these works. I am sure that the Prime Minister will remind you of the importance of staying on budget, and so I will leave that part to him. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all again for joining us today, physically, virtually, and I anxiously look forward to escaping the dreaded Montego Bay traffic following the successful completion of this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pierre Sewell. And yes, I think so say all of us. That dreaded traffic in Montego Bay is really, I think we'll do the next generation a great service by not having to have them go through what we have gone through, certainly in our lifetime. You know, CHEC has been a development partner with Jamaica for several years now. They have mastered the art in road construction. We have seen their work across Jamaica, and they intend to partner with us on this journey to ensure that the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project is a success. And so may I ask Mr. Yupen Liu, the General Manager for CHEC Americas Division, to come and bring us some remarks at this time.
Honorable Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Andrew Hollis, Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Dr. Horace Chan, Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Mr. Tian Qi, Honorable Ministry of the Government and Parliament, representative from Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, my colleagues from Czech and specially invested guests, good morning. When I got the invitation, I told myself I must come so I can have a cup of Blue Mountain coffee in this beautiful and gifted country, and I made the right choice. As a general manager for the American division of CHEC, I'm delighted to be here today participating in this very important signing between the government of Jamaica and CHEC for the development of the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project. I'm so appreciative for giving us this opportunity. The Perimeter Road will be designed and constructed by CHEC to world-class specifications and of the highest quality. We can guarantee that with the completion of this road, citizens can travel on the comfortable and modern road and have increased economic development in this city. As the Jamaica saying goes, Jamaica, no problem, man. 10 years ago, we came to Jamaica and participated in some road projects, growing with Jamaica and making many friends. Now we have entered house marketing to improve accommodations for Jamaicans. The next step is to enter into port and urban development and participate in the implementation of the water supply, sustainable energy, sewage, and waste recycling and disposal. Our goal is to merge into Jamaica to be to become a truly local company, to grow and develop together with Jamaica society, and to help build a better Jamaica. We will hire more local staff and improve their skills. We will develop local engineers and high-level management teams. We will supply long-term training programs with local colleges and universities. We will develop the local partners and improve their abilities. On behalf of Czech, I sincerely thank the people and government of Jamaica who brought about this signing today. Jamaica, we are here. Jamaica, we are ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. Well, we welcome you with open arms, and yes, no problem, man. Anything it is. I assure you that Blue Mountain coffee is the way to go. So I'm sure you'll have a cup or two just before you go back on your journey. And the man who I think will be your main host, the ambassador himself, I know he has at least 1 cup per day of Blue Mountain coffee. And so, you know, our ambassador really has been fully now incorporated in Jamaica so that he's an honorary Jamaican. And so may I ask to give you greetings, Mr. Tian Chi, the ambassador to Jamaica from the People's Republic of China.
Thanks for Master of Ceremonies, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, the Honorable Everard Wilmington, Minister without Portfolio, Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Honorable Andrew Swell, Permanent Secretary of Economic Growth and Job Creation Ministry, Mr. Lu Yunpeng, General Manager of Czech American Division, distinguished senators, mayors, and councillors, dear friends from Economic Growth and Job Creation Ministry, from China Harbor and media, ladies and gentlemen, Sister and Bridget, Wagwan, and good morning. So all great achievements require time. I'm very proud to see that you did it. You will do it. It's my great pleasure to witness the signing of such important contract. I'm sure China Harbor will once again try its best with highest quality and efficiency to build a new modern road. The road will promote the connectivity of the cities and people's life and become a new landmark of our cooperation of the Belt and Road Initiative. With more and more visible roads and bridges constructed by our joint efforts, the invisible roads and bridge connecting the hearts of our people will be broader and brighter. To get rich, build road first, and invest in infrastructure to power economic growth and people's well-being. These are direct and vivid experience of China's 40 years economic development. Though affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the government of Jamaica still succeeds in implementing infrastructure programs which help drive jobs and economic activities, improve productivity, and strengthen resilience. President Xi Jinping proposed the Global Development Initiative, calling for more robust, greener, and more balanced global development to foster a global community of development with a shared future. The initiative lists poverty, alleviation, food security, financing for development, green development, digital economy, and connectivities as priorities. It's highly compatible and synergetic with Jamaica's national development strategy. Chinese government has been attaching great importance to China-Jamaica strategic partnership and will continue working with Jamaica to enhance our cooperation, not just in infrastructure, but also in tourism, in agriculture, in leisure and recreation, in building new cities, in water. As good friends and strategic partners, next year we'll embrace the 50th anniversary of our diplomatic relations with a series of celebrations and fruitful cooperation projects to joint implement the Global Development Initiative to achieve a common prosperity. Our cooperation has very broad and bright prospects. We'll continue expanding investment in Jamaica. China's total investment in Jamaica has already exceeded $2.1 billion and created over 10,000 direct jobs. In the first 10 months of this year, China's new investment in Jamaica reached $80 million. We'd like to work together with Jamaican friends to facilitate the quick restart of JISTV Bypass upgrading and expansion project and the Western Children's Hospital project, and take effective measures to ensure the safety and security of both Chinese and Jamaican staff. Chinese enterprises are always committed to creating more local jobs, sharing knowledge, technology, and high management positions with Jamaican friends. We will continue expanding import from Jamaica. Our trade volume in the first 10 months this year reached $580 million, with 23% increase year on year. We will definitely and strongly support and actively participate in the construction of STEM institutions to cultivate well-qualified talents and high-quality labor forces to promote the economic and social development of Jamaica. We hope that we can integrate various resources of government, universities, research institutes, and enterprises of both sides to carry out practical projects in ICT construction, construction engineering, bauxite mining and processing, highway management and maintenance, seabed exploration and exploitation. Cistern and Braden. Obviously, I cannot list all our cooperation areas and projects in one speech. Time and tide wait for none. Let's cook and share cornmeal porridge. Let's work together to accomplish our common tasks one by one, and to make sure everything gonna be all right while we are rising together. Wish each of you good health, safety, and happiness. I thank you all.
Ambassador Chi, thank you so much. You see, he is entirely with us. Cornmeal porridge. That must be your favorite in the mornings. Jerk chicken and the rest. I'm not a pork eater, but if you ever do, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I, again, do not imbibe in that. Ambassador, thank you for your words. I mean, it really touched us, primarily because what you said really goes to the heart of our relationship. It's a bond, really, that goes beyond just your physically being here, and certainly you're taking the time out to be meticulous about Jamaica. We feel the genuine love that China and the people of China have for Jamaica. So thank you so much for that. You know, one of the things that I believe is evident in this function is that it's a function that also helps us to connect, really. Connection via road, connection via peoples. And you know that connectivity, development, and prosperity are all intertwined. Well, the man on the western side of Jamaica who has seen it, who has heard it, who has pleaded via the Prime Minister, the Permanent Secretary, and all those concerned, the Deputy Prime Minister, who has really done a good job in representing the views of the people of Jamaica. But not only that, he's the Minister of National Security, and he has a lot in terms of what it is that he has in terms of development plans for Western Jamaica, and in particular St. James. And so may I ask our Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Dr. Horace Chang, to speak with us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our Prime Minister, Honorable Andrew Holness, and I think my colleague, Member of Parliament, friend here, I'm going to say the Executive Head for the Republic of Montego Bay. My colleague, Minister Everett Warmington, MPs, Eura Clark, Tamika Davis, and Dave Brown from Hanover. My Permanent Secretary, Ms. Sewell, I have to recognize it this morning. You know. All the trouble I gave you. Right? His Excellency, Ambassador Tian Key. Good morning to team members from China Harbor, the NROC team, and other officials here from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. I'm very short, but getting here this morning for me, I'm particularly pleased and happy to be here to witness the signing of the contract to initiate the Montego Bay Perimeter Road. As Pierce reminded us, my term for it, but I'll tell you how that came up. But it's been a long journey getting here. I won't take a long time to explain, but it is Naomi, our chairperson, it was 16 years to be exact. This road was conceptualized back in 2005 in discussion with the then chairman of the Housing Development Bank, Mr. Kingsley Thomas, who is from Montego Bay, and we had the privilege of joining the government, then government, on a trip to Malaysia, and look at how we could build a perimeter road for Montego Bay at the time. The signal to you to wait 16 years to build a perimeter road to tell you how the traffic has changed, because that was what we were thinking of then, because crossing Montego Bay from the airport to the other side was a tough job. But we welcome this. The road will signal not only this government commitment and this particular Prime Minister to, in fact, raise the level of infrastructure throughout Jamaica. And that's why it has come about, because of his own commitment and effort and work, and I've examined and already designed much of what we expect NROC to do to ensure we have an appropriate road infrastructure throughout Jamaica. You know, Prime Minister, when he started his public life, well, not vote, but he worked early with the late Honorable Edward Seaga. And I don't think many in the room, for different years, would have seen or even recall, but the entire infrastructure for the highway system for Jamaica was in fact laid out when Edward Seaga was the Minister for Development in 1964, invited the UNDP physical planning team to design the structure, and this was in fact part of the entire North Coast Highway, and the Central Highway system was in fact laid out in that particular program. It's a long journey for the governing party. It's a long journey personally. And I'm very pleased to be here. This road will not only bring relief to the traffic that is required for the people of Montego Bay, it go around Montego Bay. It's not that long as it sounds. It's 14-kilometer road. Comes from my constituency through Minister Clark's constituency, through West Central Attorney Generals, and then go up to the hills and touch Hanover in the east and South St. James. But critical, Prime Minister, not only will bring relief, but will bring significant change the economic fortunes of the entire region, not just Montego Bay. Things like home porting will now become a natural fit for Montego Bay, as it will be 15 minutes at most, maybe less in fact. Nobody's going to drive on that road at 60 kilometers an hour when it's finished. So you'll be looking at a 10-minute ride from the airport to the Montego Freeport. So in addition to opening up opportunities for housing and industry, and that opening up of home porting also means that the north side of Montego Bay, which incidentally is my constituency now, the flank area, it was originally conceptualized as a light industry area. But that means stopped because much of the development has moved to the Freeport area. Will now be restored as part of the North Coast Development Zone, going all the way through Minister Bartlett into Trelawney, and the opportunities for development will be phenomenal. And on the western side, Hanover, and as an additional highway system getting there, not only open Hanover, but it will be 20 minutes from the south coast, which is Ferry and Savlamar, 25 minutes, which means the entire area from Montego Bay through Montpelier into Savlamar, through eastern Hanover down into, will become part of the Montego Bay economic zone, which opens up opportunities for many activities. So, Prime Minister, in many ways I have to express the appreciation of the people of St. James to you for this effort, because without your support and effort, we would not have had it. To the China Harbor, the Excellency Mr. Key from the Ambassador, I also want to express our appreciation and thanks, and look forward to working with you, getting it done on time and within budget and off. And China Harbor played a critical role, which I think, while a part of the journey in getting here was that we had a lot of discussion as to where should we put the perimeter road, which road we should build first, the roads going into the interior. And it was when China Harbor came and did the traffic study that clearly indicated the Chamber of Commerce that it was not an organic problem. We had to get the traffic in Montego. We had to allow Montego to breathe. We're literally choking on the tone. It's congestion. And Montego Bay is a 24-hour city. We work 24 hours. We live 24 hours. We're on the road 24 hours. It was just a necessary part of what had been done. And after that study, it was settled that the road should begin, and then we had to do a walkthrough to find an appropriate route through myself and MP Clark constituency. And that's when we settled on it, and we are here today. So to the entire team, I said, let me express my appreciation and thanks for getting this here, and indicate that I had to indicate to you the major impact it will have. This road, once it settles, will stimulate growth and economic development. We already are seen a dynamic city, driven by tourism and outsourcing services, but this will open up new opportunities. We can invite investment by all of us who are sitting here, and by a holiday house in the North Coast. We'll accommodate it down there. But this is something we have looked forward to, and again, my appreciation to all, but again, as I know the Prime Minister comes on, but this is particularly special Prime Minister, and we look forward not to you signing here today, but you're going to drive the first tractor in a few weeks' time here as a builder. I yield that title to come with the Montego Bay, and we'll start the process and really complete this major piece of infrastructure which will be a contribution to the entire North Coast development, which you have planned and look forward to really create the huge economic nexus on our Northwest Coast and really begin to contribute in a very meaningful way, further contribute to really bringing prosperity to a wider cross-section of the people of Jamaica. To all those who worked on it, special thank you from NROC, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, despite of nagging pace on a daily basis, aware, but we came through PS. Thank you very much. Again, look forward to it. And to all of you, look forward to retaking the Montego Bay and drive you around the perimeter road in a short while. All right, thanks.
Thank you so much, Honorable Dr. Horace Chang. Indeed, you know, Dr. Chang, it's fortuitous, so to speak, that it's the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation that this is coming through, because you've rightly pointed out that this will lead to greater economic growth and job creation, certainly in all of Western Jamaica, not just St. James alone, you know, because I see Miss Davis getting a little, you know, jealous that her parish is not being called. So Hanover as well, and certainly too, extending all the way to Westmoreland. I think for regular motorists, it may now be a conundrum coming from Kingston. Where do we drive to get, you know, to the westernmost part of Jamaica? Will it be easier to go south coast, or will it be a shorter time to go north coast and drive on this new perimeter fence? I see Mr. Dave Brown nodding his head. So I think there's some competition there. Indeed. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to our main address, Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Listen, this project has been declared a national project because of the fact that the Prime Minister sees this as not just important, but majorly important. Development projects are what will really put Jamaica into the realm of proper full development, where we can compete in terms of efficiencies. You know, some time back, I believe it was in either late 2016 or 2017, Prime Minister, there was a flooding event in Montego Bay. And I recall the Prime Minister, we actually drove down and we were stuck in some traffic. It was heavily flooded at the time. We saw some water receding and went to an area where there were a few hotels as well. And the Prime Minister, I say this over and over, but it's true. And he said, this can't work. It have to change. And many people wouldn't hear the Prime Minister talking like that generally, but it says that he's really thinking not just about stopgap measures, but wider development. He looks at housing in the same way I think he looks at highway infrastructure construction. He gave a mandate to the housing development agencies, build house. Today it seems his mandate is build highway. Look at what's happened in Kingston, really. A lot of people 2 years ago were quarreling, Constant Spring Road, you know, it's a mess. And I don't hear anyone having had to move from Manor Park to Halfway Tree in less than 10 minutes complaining today. That's because of the vision of the Prime Minister. And so, ladies and gentlemen, may I then now welcome our main speaker, Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Thank you, Naomi. Let me acknowledge our Deputy Prime Minister and the actual conceptualizer of the highway, Minister Chang, and our good friend, Ambassador Tianchi, for the support that the People's Republic of China has given us in the development of this project. And of course, acknowledgement to all the members of the government who are here and joining us virtually. I'm pleased today that we are finally at this point of contract signing for the Montego Bay Perimeter Road. Notice, Permanent Secretary, that I have used the term that is preferred by the Deputy Prime Minister, and we characterize him as the President of the Republic of Montego Bay. And that's our internal joke amongst us. But, and it's for good reason. Minister Chang doesn't want it to appear that we are somehow circumventing Montego Bay. That's not the reason. So we are not bypassing Montego Bay, and we could never do so. So This project is part of a suite of significant infrastructure development that will drive Jamaica's economic recovery, improve productivity, stimulate growth, and boost employment. And I know that the people of Montego Bay are particularly pleased with this project. A bypass, a perimeter road for Montego Bay, has been contemplated for at least, as you've said, 16 years. With only one main thoroughfare connecting the east of the city to the west, the city has been plagued by significant traffic congestion. A 2017 study of traffic through the city showed that the daily traffic reached in excess of 57,845 vehicles per day, which is the highest traffic volume in the island, outside of Kingston, that is. And this is so even during the pandemic. And in fact, I've gotten reports that suggest that it has worsened since the pandemic. There have also been perennial issues of flooding in Montego Bay, and we saw this again just 2 weeks ago. Recent flood events in Montego Bay have disrupted businesses and schools, caused persons to miss their flights, and left residents and commuters stranded. Therefore, in this development, we are also financing a drainage study, which will be included in the entire package. And hopefully from that study, we can then undertake the infrastructure development to mitigate, or if not eliminate, the flooding threat that seems to be now on clockwork every 2 years. Now, I gave a commitment to the people of Montego Bay that we would solve these problems, the traffic problem and the flooding problem. Obviously, it cannot happen overnight. But, as you can see, we are one step closer with the signing of the contract. This government delivers on its commitments. I think that needs to be said over and over and over and over again. We get things done while others talk and dream about things. We vision them while others talk and criticize. We plan them while others are making announcements. We are putting one block on top of another and building things. We are the government that gets things done. That is without dispute. It is amazing to listen to the narratives that are developed around some of the things that the government would have achieved, whether it is in housing or infrastructure or in our economic performance generally. Things that we have been talking about a decade ago, 20 years ago. We have decided that we are going to be the government of implementation. We will get things done. And that, whilst I'm not averse or objecting to constructive criticism, some of the things that are being said have no foundation in reality. And upon reflection of the comments, one would think, so what would they have us do? Nothing. We have gone through many decades of nothing being done. And I want the Jamaican people to appreciate that things are happening in this country that will transform life in Jamaica. Granted, it won't happen overnight. Granted, it may take too long. But we are on a path of transforming Jamaica. The problem with transformation, Ambassador, is that once you're in the transformed state, it's no longer transformational. You have to look to the next state. So the moderator for this ceremony mentioned the Constant Spring Road, Mandela Highway, all the other roads that we have done. Yeah, that was yesterday. Yeah, that was transformed yesterday. Move on to the next project. And that's what we're doing. We're moving on to the next project. So we have a series of transformational infrastructure projects that are happening. The South Coast Road Improvement Project, again in partnership with China Harbor. And that will transform the eastern end of the island. We have some other amazing projects in the works. But I want to just focus on St. James. The roads that we're constructing there, in terms of this bypass and addressing Long Hill, strategically moves our roadways inland. And that was strategically done. The path that was chosen for the road was strategically done because we have to consider the impact of climate change, particularly sea level rise, on our infrastructure. And so all the roads that we're doing now, even on the South Coast Road Improvement, we have started to, where we can, shift the roads inland and to higher ground. So this is one of the reasons why we are particularly pleased about finally getting this project done, because this project will help with our resilience. The way the road is constructed and designed, it is unlikely to be impacted by flooding. And in taking into consideration the drainage, we are not just building a road, we are building the complete infrastructure to ensure that whatever events, weather events that would occur as a result of climate change, we have adapted our infrastructure to account for that. So when there are these unexpected weather events, we should be able to continue to move traffic in Montego Bay and to have people still get their flights, and commerce and industry and people being able to move about. That should be able to continue. So the road is being built with that in mind. And indeed, all our infrastructure is being built with that in mind. So we're building the Perimeter Road, but it is not merely a road. It will have facilities that will allow for the laying of broadband cables, where water mains need to be in place. That will be a pathway that they can follow. And obviously, the drainage. It's a very important point that I want the people of Jamaica to understand, that when we say we're building infrastructure or roadways, it is not just asphalt. We have changed the definition of building roads now. It is the road, the water, the sewage, and the infrastructure for internet connectivity and electricity pathways. The complete infrastructure and drainage. The perennial issues of traffic congestion and flooding for Montego Bay in particular, if not addressed, will only serve to hold back the growth and prosperity of the people of Montego Bay and Jamaica as a whole. First, let me speak about opportunities that this road will create in Montego Bay. Obviously, it will increase the opportunities for tourism in Montego Bay. Montego Bay is the tourism mecca of the Caribbean, and that is without dispute. But it is an unfulfilled potential. And we can increase our tourism in Montego Bay if we can decrease travel time. So it shouldn't be that it is 1.5 hours from Miami, maybe 1 hour in the airport, but then you would spend an hour or 1.5 hours in traffic to get to the hotel. It shouldn't be. When you're in Jamaica, you should be in Jamaica. And that's what we want to give the tourism product. That once you land, you are minutes away from paradise. That's the idea. And the Perimeter Road will reduce the travel time once you are in the country. It will then open up more opportunities, not just for people who are coming to stay in the hotels, but for people who are visiting attractions. In other words, the tourists can go to more attractions because they can get back to the ship much faster and without worry. I'm certain you would have seen in Montego Bay police escorting the buses so that the visitors can get back onto the ship on time. So just that investment in speeding up transportation within the city will increase the overall benefit for tourism. But it's not just tourism. Montego Bay is also expanding as the center of business process outsourcing. And that ability to move staff quickly to these operations, and even in unexpected weather events, that you still have this robust transportation hub, will ensure that Jamaica is an attractive place to put these kinds of global services, because they support mission-critical operations that can't go down. So building this infrastructure, which adds to our resilience, ensures that Jamaica maintains its position of being attractive to investors in the BPO sector. But just for the average person, I mean, I'm talking about industry. But when someone complains that after a hard day at work, they have to sit in traffic for an hour and a half to get home, just that productivity loss, that frustration. If you can remove that from people's lives, it increases their well-being, reduces their stress, changes their outlook on how they feel about their country. And that is incalculable as to the impact that that could have on not just people's well-being, but on their productivity. So this is a massive investment. When we look at the 10.5 kilometers of bypass that will take into account Long Hill, that's significant. That now creates a whole new corridor of development that was not possible before. So just this one project is going to have a tremendous impact on our economy. So this is major. So those who it would appear to me, objected to the project, probably did not understand how transformational this project is going to be. We have some other projects lined up, and the MPs who are here, I've noticed that their ears just perked up when they heard other projects lined up. We are examining the the North Coast highway infrastructure, and that, you know, that highway was done almost 20 years now, almost 20 years, and already the traffic that it is carrying is far outweighing the capacity. So when we do these roads, we can't just build them for 20 years. We have to spec them for 50 years because the traffic count is increasing rapidly. So we will have to pay some more attention to that corridor, the North Coast corridor. So there will be some announcements shortly. But we are designing the roads to take into account connectivity and speed of travel and our adaptation to climate change. So we will probably change alignments where necessary to move the road further inwards to higher ground. We will bypass townships that are developing because, you know, there is a perspective in the minds of residents of these towns and communities that the roads pass through, that the road brings the traffic, and that is what keeps the economic activity of the community. That is true. But at some point, the road limits the development of the community. And you end up with a township that really should be expanding and growing, but that doesn't happen. Instead, you have a township that is inconvenient and congested, and eventually it will collapse onto itself because you can't give public order, you can't give customer ease and satisfaction, and eventually the town will fall away. So in order to preserve the town, you have to plan the roads properly. So traffic that will not stop in your town should have an opportunity not to go through the town, because that traffic actually limits the development of your town. So you have to create the road with the convenience that people who have business in the town can get in, do their business, and get out as quickly as possible. So your town becomes an easy place to do business. And the road program, therefore, also incorporates the development of the various townships, because what we will now start to do is to look at lands in proximity to these townships that we can seek to develop. Minister Warmington has one such project for Old Harbor, which we will know. It will be in due time, but that is being planned. We have one project being planned for Port Antonio. Various plans there. Port Antonio, a lovely town, but it is dying on itself because it is just being, again, stifled by traffic. And the services that the people who use that town would want, they just simply can't get it. Parking, for example, is a major, major problem. And then the public order issues and town sanitation and so forth. All these issues become almost impossible to deliver because the overuse of the limited space in the town and the congestion for traffic. So we have Portland on our radar. We have Hopewell in Hanover on our radar as well as a town that we have to help. And I see Lucy is on the radar as well. So I want the country to understand that the advanced planning is being done to ensure that Jamaicans can enjoy their country with proper infrastructure. You know, it's a terrible thing that you're walking, going to the market in one of these towns, and you slip and drop into some undesirable water. Because in many of these towns, you still have wastewater running on the road. Or the market waste is just piling up. Or you want to get a taxi and it is just total confusion as to where the taxi men should park. And the challenge is that if you try to adjust the situation by saying, all right, I'm ordering the taxis here and I'm putting some structure there, there is always this problem of any change disrupting the system that is in place where people make their money. So it can't be changed from a micro and individual level. You have to look at the macro issues of the problem and change the infrastructure. And once the infrastructure changes, then the way in which people behave within the infrastructure also changes. And so that's the approach that the government is taking. So it's very important, therefore, that the people continue to have faith with the government and don't get too distracted with much of the talk that can create a crescendo of doom and gloom in the society. Many great things are happening in Jamaica. I'm particularly proud of the fact that Jamaica's fiscal situation is such that we do not need to borrow to implement the project. And I want to pause at this statement because a part of the talk is that the government of Jamaica should spend more. That during the pandemic, the government of Jamaica should do like the government of some other developed countries and spend more on social services and care programs and so forth. The government has spent a significant amount of money on social services and care programs. But unlike other countries that have fallen into fiscal risk, Jamaica was very careful because that narrative of spending more is a short-sighted narrative. If you spend more now in Jamaica's fiscal profile and situation, it is likely that you will not be able to spend when future unexpected shocks occur. So whatever we are going to spend, it is what is within our threshold that will not place us into fiscal risk, and we have maintained that. But if you listen to some of the narratives that are out there, and if we allow those narratives to take root where they become politically influential and impressed on the government, then we could have been in danger. As I said, it's a democratic country. We must have the narrative. But it is important for me and others to come out and point out the dangers of allowing those kinds of narratives to seep into our consciousness. How quickly we have forgotten the economic situation in which we were just 10 years ago. For people to be proposing that we abandon our fiscal responsible posture, which has given us dividends. Dividends to the point where we can say that this project will be funded from the budget of the government of Jamaica. All the other road projects were funded through borrowing. We are financing this project with our own resources, and doing so during the worst pandemic in 100 years. Just yesterday, Moody's Investor Services affirmed Jamaica's long-term issuer and senior unsecured rating at B2 with a stable outlook. This is no ordinary feat when compared to the rest of the region and Jamaica's recent history. But you don't hear that chatter seeping through into the collective psychology of the people. What is seeping through is a negative narrative. And that negative narrative can turn moods to give opportunity for people who carry the negative narrative to take control of leadership, which then puts you back 10 years ago. And I have to be, as Prime Minister, always careful to watch out for those narratives, false narratives. And we hear them all the time. We heard one yesterday in Parliament about militarization. And they're just constantly dropping these falsehoods. And we have to be so careful that we do not allow these narratives to take root. This is a testament to our financial resilience and a signal of how far we have come as a country. This will be the first major highway development in the country financed with our own resources and not linked to a loan. Highway 2000 was done with borrowed money. The North-South Highway was done with borrowed money. The South Coast Highway was done with borrowed money. The Montego Bay Perimeter Road will be undertaken and completed without borrowing. We have also taken great care to ensure that the contract represents a win-win for the contractor and for Jamaica. The contractor is executing the works under this contract and is required to use a minimum of 90% Jamaican workers for unskilled construction work, subject to, of course, the availability of those workers, which I'm certain that we have enough workers. And they are required to use a minimum of 50% of skilled workers from Jamaica for technical works. The contractor, and some people might say only 50%, and we examined it very carefully. We are under no illusions as to what our training needs are. I'm a very practical person. And whilst it is the case that we may have some technical deficits, and the technical deficits may arise not just because we don't have enough persons trained. That might be one consideration. So before the negative narratives start. The other consideration is that we have several projects going at the same time. People don't usually think of these things. We're going to have the South Coast projects going, which is already underway, a massive project from Harborview all the way around to Port Antonio. We need technical skills there. We have the bauxite plants that we need to resuscitate, and those are going to come back on stream very quickly. We have hospitals that we are doing in the West, and our own program of road improvements, which you're going to see in your communities around. So it is not just that we don't have enough because we haven't trained enough. It is that we also have many other projects going. So what we have said from a strategic perspective is that the contractor is required, in collaboration with the Heart Trust NSTA, to develop and implement a training program for the transfer of knowledge and technology to Jamaican workers not having the required skills who are suitable candidates to work on the project as on-the-job trainees under the Knowledge and Technology Transfer Program. So in this project, even though we are saying you must employ 50% technical people from Jamaica, even the unskilled will go through a process of technology transfer. So our engagement with Czech is not just to build the road, it is to build the skills. And I want people to appreciate that this is going to be a difference. We have been talking about it with Czech. Czech has been one of our long-standing contractors now, well established in Jamaica. The benefit of having Czech here must not only just be their speed and efficiency in construction, but our workmen, our subcontractors, our technical people should also use the opportunity to learn what enterprise contracting is. I mean, there's a lot of, again, noise about not looking at local contractors and so forth. We have some excellent local contractors, there's no doubt. They are developing the skills to take on mega projects. But you can only gain that skill through experience. It is not something that you can say, I have a degree in it, and that you're going to go and expect to take on enterprise scale, meaning large scale projects that have hundreds of moving parts to manage. You have to actually be in that enterprise to understand it. And so what we want to happen is that our technical experts, our workers, our subcontractors, they should be actively engaged in a process of technology and management transfer, so that we can have one day our own Jamaica Harbor Engineering Company. So, in closing, Ambassador, I want to say that Jamaica values our long-standing strategic partnership with China, particularly in trade and infrastructure development. The pandemic has really put a damper on how we have been able to work closely and with great speed and alacrity on issues. I'm not saying that the pandemic is over. What I'm saying is that the government is living with it. So it is just one of the other challenges now that we have to deal with, and not the only challenge that we are focused on. The government has started to refocus and recalibrate its efforts. We cannot put our life on hold because of the pandemic. We will live with this pandemic, we will overcome it, and the only way to live with it and overcome it is to make sure that our society is still progressing, still growing, people are still able to get work, still able to get an income, and still able to enjoy their lives. So earlier this week, on the 21st of November, we marked 49 years since the establishment of diplomatic relationships between Jamaica and China. And our relationship, Ambassador, is as strong as ever. Czech has been a key partner in implementing major infrastructure projects. They performed with respect to the North-South Highway when others left the project, and they are performing on the South Coast Highway Improvement Project. I have no doubt that they will also perform on the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project, meaning that they will come in on budget, they'll come in under budget, before time, and of the highest quality infrastructure delivered for the people of Jamaica. Again, I have no doubt that the project will be transformational in addressing some of the long-standing issues that have plagued the residents of Montego Bay and helping to stimulate Jamaica's economic recovery as we build forward stronger. I thank you.
Prime Minister, thank you so much for your words this morning. And what was evident, ladies and gentlemen, is that the Prime Minister is a true visionary. He's not planning for now. You know, as he said about the roadway and just ensuring that an evidence-based approach is used. We're not planning for now, but we're scaling the project to span 50 years. So we have to plan it not just for 10 years' time in terms of traffic flow, but 50 years' time when things will change in that section of Jamaica. So thank you so much, Prime Minister, for your vision, and again for acknowledging the close relationship between Jamaica and China. noting that it's 49 years since formal relations with China. 1972 certainly is a significant year for the Prime Minister as well. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the point where we officially sign the agreements. And then may I ask our protocol unit to just take charge. The permanent secretary here at the Office of the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation will be signing, along with Mr. Dan Gran B, the country manager for Czech. And so what we'll ask is that Mr. B, you stand on that side. We'll also have representatives of NROC just standing in between. And of course, the senior ministers here present, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang and the Honorable C. Everett Warmington, the Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Okay. All right, so we have all attentive eyes, both in the room and online virtually, and so you may now sign, signaling this historic project that will certainly transform the lives of the people of Montego Bay, St. James, other areas in St. James, and of course, Western Jamaica. And we have our partners witnessing the signing, NROC, of course, the representatives of Czech, along with the representatives of the Chinese embassy, and of course, 2 of the members of parliament from St. James areas. So we're ensuring that all the I's are dotted and T's crossed for this very important project, which will include, of course, a major drainage study for the Montego Bay area, and of course, ensuring that we have that Perimeter Road project, 14 kilometers, but certainly a lot of a very intricate design work that will take place. NROC, of course, will be a major partner in this road construction. And the Prime Minister does one last signing. May I then ask, Mr. Prime Minister, that yourself and Mr. B, along with those who are witnessed right there, if you could just do a symbolic handing over of the documents, signaling, of course, this historic occasion. Yes, and then the others who are right there, just if you could stand a little forward so we are in keeping with all the protocols, yes? Stephen and Dave, if you could come right there in between so we can see. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And indeed, this is it. We have come to the end of this very historic occasion, the signing ceremony for the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project. Of course, major partners, Czech and NROC, and of course, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, ensuring that we spearhead this very transformational project that will affect the people of St. James and, of course, all of Western Jamaica. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. As we brought this to you, please do have a good day. May I thank everyone who physically came here today for being here. We do have another engagement. The Those who are from the Embassy of China will certainly be joining us, but may we ask that you recess on the outside while we just transform the room and are able to resume at 12 o'clock with the handover of our next event. And so for those who are inside, may I ask that you recess on the outside so that we're able to just transform this room and begin the next event in 15 minutes. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.